rolling?
Yeah.
Cool. All right, I'm going to give us a clap. We're in. Hey, welcome to the Fireside Tattoo Podcast here, the last day at the Evergreen Tattoo Invitational. I'm here with Edgar Marquez. Marquez?
Yes, Edgar Marquez, yes.
Marquez from Long Beach. And we're neighbors, kind of neighbors.
Kind of nervous.
Like neighbors behind the curtain. And you've been cranking away all weekend. That throat piece yesterday was awesome.
Thank
so
you,
good.
thank you. It was intense for sure.
That's tough, especially
For
being like
both
on
of
an
us.
end cap where everyone is like can lean over you all the time, and you're and that
Trying
takes
to
so
get
much.
on that zone, and it's impossible. But
Yeah. That dude sat like a rock. How long did that take?
7.5 hours.
Yeah.
Yeah, 7.5.
That's a lot on the throat.
Yeah, I mean, we took a couple breaks, and throw back some sugar at him, revive him every now and then, and go back at it. So he did great, man. He did. I fucking surprised he did great.
And I saw it walking around. I saw him walking around today. It looks like looks nice. Doesn't look too angry today.
No, everything's setting down great, and it's a slower process, Put him through more shit, but I need to be sure that when they leave, it stays there. You know what I mean?
And your approach is kind of you do a lot of like layering, and you kind of sneak work real general to specific, huh? You kind of sneak up on it. It's not a lot of hard lines on the front end. It's a lot of like building of textures and stuff, huh?
It's definitely a drawing technique, pretty much. You just get super loose and start building until you get your focal points, and that's it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So pretty loose more than anything.
Yeah. Is that how you approach most everything, all of your drawing?
Everything. I'm finding that right now I'm finally collaging my drawing with my painting and my tattooing all in one. So I feel like I'm having the same fun. Either I'm tattooing, painting, or drawing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because
you're
it's
taking
the same approach.
Same
approach.
Yeah. And it's funny, we were talking to Corey Bernhardt last night, and his paintings are really similar to his tattoos. And but then we talked to so many people who really try to like drive a wedge in between those. Like they really try when they're in the studio, they're trying to like not at all do anything tattoo related. You know what I mean? They're trying to really push apart, and then other people are really trying to figure out what they can pull from other mediums to their tattooing.
Well, I believe depending on what kind of approach you take on painting. I think if you're one of those tattooers / artists that, for example, they trace everything, like they will trace a tattoo, then I can see how it could get boring. It's like, screw this. I mean, I already traced a painting. Now I have to trace a tattoo and trace a drawing, so it becomes boring. But when you just are super loose, you don't trace nothing, or you just go at it. It's like you're always finding something cool to do, to highlight or to accent. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Instead of stay within that line, because if not, it's gonna look fucked up.
Right.
Excuse my French.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. So. No. I mean, so do you have like yesterday? You hand drew that. Back to the throat piece, you kind of hand drew all of that on. Do you have a pretty solid idea of what your focal point is and what the end result is going to look like? Or are you always kind of exploring?
I'm always exploring. I'm one of those that like to do like when I'm in my studio, I like to just I just smudge a lot. Like when I just saw you sketching, pretty much, and I literally let the drawing or the painting or the tattoo talk to me. Like, dude, this area looks awesome. You know what I mean? And highlight me and accent me and bold line me, and you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's how I take my approach more than anything. It's just I do kind of have an idea when it comes to a tattoo, because it's permanent. I don't want to be guessing for something that is forever.
Yeah.
So I can do a quick sketch before a time if I can, and then just start going with it. And but with the sketch, I also find myself changing a lot of ideas from my sketch. You know what I mean? I'm like, I'm gonna change it a little bit. I think it looks better on the body now than it looked on sketch. So
are you hand drawing most of what you do on the skin, or do you stencil much?
I prefer stenciling.
Do you?
Yeah,
okay.
I like to draw everything. I sketch everything. But when it comes to stenciling it, or when it comes to tattooing, I like to sketch it and make a stencil out of the sketch. Because it just lasts longer than a marker, you know what I mean? And it's a tattoo is forever.
Yeah.
So the more positives I get in my stencil, the better,
Yeah.
Why even fight it?
But you probably, I mean, I'm assuming because you are always exploring, you're using the stencil more as just a general guide and not as like
Pretty
a hard,
much, yeah.
yeah,
Pretty much, basic, just basic lines and basic forms. Just to start building after that and create volume after that.
yeah,
I don't,
yeah,
I don't like to do, I don't, my freehands. I don't like to finish them how they're supposed to look. I always leave room to have fun.
yeah, yeah,
With drawing as well or painting. I like to leave room so.
yeah.
Once again, if he talks to me, it's like, fuck, right here, let's do this,
Right,
This
right.
is the little area that I want to create as a focal point and
Yeah, yeah.
whatnot.
Are you in your painting? Are you staying mostly grayscale as well, or do you do a lot of color work?
I do a lot of color work. I do, just my color it's super opaque, but technically my color palette is primary colors.
Oh, yeah.
And and I don't know, you saw my painting, they're just super opaque, it's like, what fucking color is it?
Yeah.
But I make them out of those, just my primaries, ochre yellow and red and blue and black and
Yeah.
white. That's it, and off of that, I just start creating all these colors that sometimes they don't even have a name,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And I mean, and being able to work that way and learning, like, what happened. If is this a little bluer, a little yellower, a little redder, a little whatever, a little lighter, a little darker. It makes it so much easier when you come someplace like this. You don't have to bring 32
Yeah.
like bottles of ink.
Pretty
you can
much.
like show up
Pretty
with just your
much.
primaries and make most of what you need.
Pretty much, yeah.
And we always try to encourage people, like, that set out 30 or 40 colors to their palette to just go like, well, look, mix that color a handful of times, and if you find you're mixing the same thing a lot, well, then go find it in a bottle, But
Right.
if you go and you buy the whole like set of bottles to begin with, or if you buy like a giant set of ink to begin with, then you feel like you have to use all this stuff, and you don't really know
Yeah.
where to use it. You end up with a lot of like fragmented pieces that they're not very cohesive from a color standpoint,
I think it's very important to really know your color, your color theory in this case. It's simple to use, but it's also simple to fuck up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If you don't really know what you're doing.
Yeah.
When you know, you don't have to carry 80 fucking colors with you.
Right.
And when you don't, I suggest don't carry 80 colors too, because you have 80 opportunities to fuck up your
Right.
tattoo,
Yeah.
So minimize it, because if
Yeah.
you don't know, that you're just taking higher chances to fuck up your tattoo. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah, absolutely. And the thing is like if you can't make it work with a more limited palette, you're not going to fix it by adding more.
There you go. That's
Yeah.
that's exactly how I see it.
Right, right.
So,
So what are you in a big shop or a small shop in Long Beach?
my shop is pretty small. It's we have 6 artists, including me,
Yeah.
and it's open concept, pretty small, pretty you could say in the ghetto,
Yeah.
and we're that little gem in the fucking,
Huh.
and it's pretty cool. I've been there 12 years,
Oh.
and I'm the second shop, the second oldest shop in the city.
Oh, really? In
Yeah,
the whole city?
because like 30 didn't let any shops open like for 35 years.
Oh.
Then I talked to the council and all this shit. I'm an artist. I don't want to do your regular tattoos. And they decided, okay, we'll give you a shot, but just in this area, which is the ghetto. And I was like, I'll take it. You know what I mean?
Wow. Really?
And which that's where I was born in either way. So
Huh.
all my friends in the neighborhood support me, and here I am.
Yeah, that's
yeah.
crazy. So they controlled what area you were able to open in. Is that they zoned it a different way?
They
or something?
zoned it, yeah.
Yeah.
Back in 15 years ago, first they didn't want to let any shops open, and when we finally convinced the council of Long Beach, they were like, "You only have from here to here, from here to these radius, and that's it." Which it was not on the art district or downtown area, or it was
Yeah.
more like just fucking ghetto, But
Yeah. Wow.
thank God everything got cleaned up, but it's still.
Huh. So have they widened that now, or are there other areas that you're
Now,
able to?
now they opened their zoning to just free range now.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
12 years after, I'm like, thank you, fuckers.
Yeah. Right.
But it gives me a chance to open another one, so which I
Do you think
I
you
don't
might do
mind.
that?
I'm actually more for opening my own painting studio,
Oh, really?
like a private painting studio, because I want to give classes and
Oh.
just paint more.
Yeah.
Yeah, just
Yeah.
paint more.
How's your time split right now between tattooing and painting?
I have a pretty cool schedule within painting and tattooing. I have I tattoo 5 days,
Yeah.
and pretty much the way I work. If I don't have nobody booked on that day, then I draw and paint.
Yeah.
And if I have a 5 hour book, then okay. This is how I set up my time. I do like a normal any American or person. I divide everything as a 40-hour week work. And I only work 40 hours a week, like
Okay.
any other job, so I don't get burned out.
Hmm.
So I do once again just 5 tattoos, 8 hours a day,
Yeah.
and if my tattoo is 3 hours, then I paint it or draw 5 hours.
Yeah.
Because I want to do 8 hours of work every day.
Yeah.
And if my tattoo is 8 hours, then I don't draw or paint. And if I don't have nobody booked, then I'll draw and paint all those 8 hours.
Yeah.
And I gave myself 2 days off, and
Yeah.
you know what I mean.
Yeah. Yeah. It's
So
pretty
that's how
straightforward.
it pretty. I'm on it. I'm on it. I would rather draw or paint than watch TV or fuck around with the guys.
Yeah.
We'll
Yeah.
have time to go fuck around.
Right.
After those 8 hours of work.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So,
That's
yeah,
a good
yeah,
way
yeah.
to look at it. So you think that if you were to open a painting studio, it would be like you would treat it like a school, like a
I would treat it more for more for schooling purpose and just produce more art.
yeah.
I have a cool painting studio space on the back of my house, but I want to just push it more now. And
Yeah.
instead of just little time and in between hours or whatnot. I just want to keep it more presentable and more professional in a way.
Yeah.
And I want to be able to bring people over into my house.
Right.
So yeah,
Yeah.
that's my
Um,
next step.
Yeah, yeah, that sounds exciting. I always we do some kind of online courses and things like that, but there's nothing quite like having someone sitting there with you and
Exactly.
trying to help problem solve. And the thing
Exactly.
is, the cool thing about that is trying to help someone solve problems in their own way without trying to create like a little mini you. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah,
Where it's like,
exactly.
because then you're always finding new ways to solve your own problems whenever you're trying to help someone solve their own.
Yeah,
solve
yeah.
theirs.
It happens a lot. People ask me like, "Yo, I want you to teach me this." I'm like, "Dude, I'm still looking for that answer too.
Right.
We should just tag along and let's go find it." 'Cause,
Yeah, absolutely.
And, yeah, it's
Um,
true.
back to the tattooing and doing and building a lot of the textural stuff and kind of exploring a lot. Did you find that you had a learning curve in just learning to read the skin? How much was too much? How often can you layer, especially something like a throat? Was that something that came over time, or you did?
I think experience comes in hand. Especially on the throats or these little weird areas, armpits and whatnot.
Yeah.
Private areas. If you don't have the experience where it takes time to build, then that's when everything just goes down the drain. So
Yeah.
definitely, it's very important to have the experience under that.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh,
And by that, you're trying to look at healed tattoos, seeing how they're settling
Of
in, how
course.
they're aging, and then
Yeah.
and then saying like, oh yeah, I thought maybe I was pushing that a little too far, and I
Exactly.
was. Now
Yeah,
I know.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I've been through all of that. Where
Yeah.
I made my scar over working the skin. Instead of just being patient. And
Yeah.
if you don't learn from those mistakes, then you're just fucking people up.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I think in this career in this industry, you have to be aware of everything what you're doing.
Yeah.
From what needle you use. Try to remember everything you did. So learn from that mistake or that achievement. You know what I mean?
Hmm. Yeah.
Because that way you can keep on follow that. If you achieve something with a tattoo on her throat or whatever, it comes out perfect. Remember what you used.
Yeah.
Remember what page you were working on, how long it took you, what kind of ink, what kind of needle, and that's just gonna help you achieve your next future tattoos as well.
Yeah, yeah. I follow a painter named Andrew Tischler who asked just a handful of questions of himself every time he looks at a piece when he comes back. He's a painter, not a tattooer at all.
Right.
But he asks like what worked or what worked, what's working, what's not working, and what if? Like what if I had done this? What if I just
That's
pushed
a
that?
great- yeah.
Just three real simple questions. Well, what's working? You can kind of look at anything and go like, well, this area is drawing my attention. That's working. What's not working? This stuff isn't really supporting that much.
Exactly.
You know.
Yeah.
Just a simple series of questions that make such a huge
Yeah.
impact. You know?
In school, Sergio Sanchez, I don't know you heard of him,
Oh,
a
yeah.
great tattooer and also a great master in drawing and painting. When I was taking classes with him of color theory about 8 years ago, if not more, he would tell us the same thing. Just go outside for a minute,
Hmm.
come back and ask what's really there.
Yeah.
And just be honest with yourself. Don't try to fool yourself because you're the one learning.
Right.
And ask yourself what's there, and you'll see it. You
Hmm.
know,
Yeah.
you'll see it.
And
What he needs and what doesn't need.
right, and definitely just getting away from it for a little while, just focusing on something else.
Mhm.
What you find so often is that the thing that you're focusing on as the problem point often isn't the issue at all. It's something you're not even, that you haven't addressed up fully yet, or
Exactly.
something like that. And
Yeah.
it takes stepping away from it. Do you here, in this kind of environment, you kind of have to sit for 6 or 8 hours and
Mhm.
make something work. Do you prefer to look at this stuff or work on this stuff in multiple sittings, or do you like to go through and build all this stuff in a single pass?
I think as a artist that I paint and I build up by layers,
Hmm.
I like to build up.
Yeah.
You know, but once again, not everybody's gonna fly to your city, and
Yeah.
so that's why it's important to communication. Where are you gonna give me time to do a second pass, or you just want to get it completely done?
Yeah.
If you want to get it completely done, it's gonna take you 10 hours. You're gonna sit through it. And
Right.
if not, then let's do 5 hours at a time. So I take two different approaches depending on what we agree.
Yeah.
So,
What that client's kind of
but I
circumstance.
mean, 100%, I'd rather build up.
Yeah.
Just because it's skin, it's not. It's not. We
Yeah.
have to be extra careful. It's not a canvas or a paper.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
So,
And just being able to see how that stuff actually settles out, and then, over time you kind of you can guesstimate how it's going to settle out, but there's nothing quite
Exactly.
like seeing how it settled out and be like,
Exactly.
okay, I should have pushed that a little more, or maybe
Exactly.
that's yeah.
I believe there's always room to push more.
Yeah. Yeah.
Even if you're a one-shot tattooer,
Yeah.
that you finish everything in one shot, I'm pretty sure, you put your ego to the side, you're gonna find it that either you can push a little bit more contrast, or you can just cool off that color, it looks too bright, or enhance it. Either way, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think there's always room to push it more, the tattoo. Once again, we're working with skin, so
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
sometimes your ego of saying, "Oh, he didn't do it in one shot," but mostly it's your ego. It's not
Right.
everybody don't give a fuck how your tattoo healed. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think it's a matter of
Yeah.
you. It's like really you wanna do a good tattoo for your client or not.
Yep, yep. I've heard Guy Aitchison say, like, I can always make a tattoo better. Like, if you give me
There we
another
go.
3 hours, I'll make it better. I don't care how long, how many times I've already been on
I
it.
totally support that. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's true too. And I think we bounce around and we visit artist studios and things like that, and we've been real lucky to watch people like Guy like look over their shoulder while they're working. Or Scott got tattooed by Yogi Barrett, and we got to sit and watch about an 8 or 10 hour session. And what I noticed in people that really set themselves apart is that at hour 3 and hour 4, their tattoos kind of look like everyone else's tattoos. They're not magic from the start. It really starts to
Exactly.
separate itself when I might say the tattoo is done, and they still have 2 more hours.
Exactly.
That's where it
Yeah.
all kind of sets apart. So,
Exactly.
yeah. Do you? What's your travel schedule? Are you traveling a good bit? Do you have family at home? Or do
I
you
have family. I have a wife and I have 2 kids,
Yeah.
8 and one's gonna be 14 next month. And I have great kids and I have
Yeah.
a great wife
Yeah.
that supports me 100%, and I support her 100%.
Do they travel with you at all? Or?
She's not into the whole tattoo thing,
Yeah.
which I love it. You know what I mean?
Just tattooing in general. She's just not into tattoos.
I tattooed her before.
Yeah.
She has like 2 tattoos or so.
Yeah.
She doesn't hate it, but she just doesn't like the whole sitting down and do nothing
Yeah.
or walk around all day at a convention. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah, she supports me. She's great. She's great with it. And
So do you travel? How many shows do you do a year on average?
these past 2 years, it's been I've been traveling a lot. I had my immigration status. I wasn't completely officially done with it until like 2 years ago.
Yeah.
So I was able to travel outside of the country now.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna hit that for a couple, like 2 more years.
Yeah.
But I was able to travel here in the U.S. and I did a bunch of conventions. And like right now, I'm just hitting more for the out of the country conventions.
Yeah.
I'm going to France, Paris, Germany
You're doing that this year?
this year. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
And
Nice.
I'm going
All
to
in
Colombia.
a single trip?
Different ones.
So you're going to Europe multiple times this year? Wow.
Yeah. I just got back from Colombia
Oh.
3 weeks ago
Yeah.
for a convention there. I'm coming back in June.
Huh.
I went to Bogota. Now I'm going to Cali, and after that I'm going to France. When I come back, I think I'm going to New York or something. Come
Wow.
back. It's gonna be busy. It's gonna be fun.
Wow.
Tiring but fun.
Yeah. Does the shop do pretty well in your absence? I mean, do you?
Oh, I have a partner, so
Oh
that
yeah.
really really helps.
Yeah.
You know, and so he takes care when I'm not there. And but yeah, the shop does great. You know, the shop does great. I mean,
You don't really have to worry. You feel comfortable going to Europe or
yeah,
going to
of course,
Colombia and
yeah,
saying like, ah, everything's fine at home.
definitely. You
Yeah.
know, once again, I think they're not kids. We're all grown-ups. You know,
Yeah.
and I believe in just trust. You know, trust the people you work with. You know, I mean, those are the guys you spend half of your lifetime, so you need to trust them. You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
and
And kind of culturing an environment probably of like hel- helping them to earn that trust and
yeah,
providing for them. We just had Rimber on just earlier today, and I was amazed. He has 20 artists at his shop and 6 or 7
yeah, I heard
apprentices.
something like that.
It's crazy, and and he talked a lot about just about how he tries to culture an environment, kind of
That,
just
yeah.
positivity, and tries to help everyone. Uh, bringing in artists from other towns to teach painting or to teach
Yeah,
drawing,
yeah.
like whatever he can do to
Yeah,
kind of
yeah,
help
yeah.
the other artists, and how that tends to help everyone feel like part of the team, and everyone wants to see
That's
the shop
fucking
succeed.
intense, though. 20 people.
20 and
Oh,
7
Jesus.
apprentices. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
Yeah, couldn't imagine.
Yeah. That's a lot. Yeah.
That
I
is.
love my guys at the shop, but fuck, sometimes I just feel like kicking them out. You know.
Right.
I can picture 20 and 7 apprentices.
Yeah, that's
But
that's
hey,
a lot. It seems
yeah.
to be working. I mean, he
It
says.
works. Yeah.
Um, so are you able, when booking in Europe, booking in Colombia, are you able to book pretty solid? What do you have any tips for how to book when you're going to other parts of the world?
You know what? This past 3 years or so with the whole social media thing, it just became so easy.
Yeah.
You know,
Just
I'm lucky enough that I just make like one post. I'll be here, and I get booked.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
and
Are you doing anything special, or it's just your own? You just happen to have followers that are already in these areas.
I believe so. You know,
Yeah.
I don't do nothing special. I don't
You're
do
not
promotions.
hashtagging the.
I don't
the stuff.
hashtag none of that.
Yeah.
I just hashtag my sponsors, and that's it. You know,
Yeah.
and I just like I said, I've been lucky enough to. I I just came back from Europe last year in August. I went to 4 countries in a month, and I tattooed, and I didn't even hashtag I was going or nothing. You know what I mean?
And just
I was like, oh, I'm in Italy taking pictures of whatever. You know, like, oh, you're here. What's up?
huh?
I'm like, oh, fuck. Okay.
Yeah,
You know,
that's really
so
nice.
yeah, yeah.
Any trouble with language barriers or anything like that, tattooing in other countries?
For my surprise, I was in Denmark, and they all speak English. So
Huh.
you know, they all communicate in English, or Italy they communicate in Spanish. You know, or
Yeah.
and I was like perfect.
Yeah,
So I had no problems with that.
sweet.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
you know.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah. So it was awesome.
So if someone's watching and wants to book you wherever in Europe and wherever you're
Yeah.
going, what's the best way to get in touch with you?
My email.
Okay. What
Yeah.
it well, you can say it, and maybe we'll drop it down in the show notes if that's cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's E Diablo with three
Diablo.
Ds,
Okay.
and number 2 at yahoo.com.
Cool.
You know, and yeah, that's the best way to do it.
Yeah.
You know, I hate booking of so far apart. I start answering 3 weeks at a time.
Oh, really?
So most likely you're gonna get in my chair within a month
Oh,
at the
wow.
most. I don't like to compromise because I want to travel more.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And when you compromise, you're kind of screwing yourself. You know, like you have to be there.
Yeah.
Or be
Yeah.
that asshole that cancels on you because he wants to go to a family trip.
Right. So how
You know?
how do you keep that under wraps? So I mean, how, you just don't. Do you have an auto response that says sorry?
No,
not
I
booking"?
answer everything. I don't. I believe in energy, and I believe there needs to be a connection between the client and the client. You know, I mean the client and the artist. You know, and
Yeah.
I believe in asking the perfect questions, asking. You know what I mean? Feel the client. You know, and that has helped me a lot. You know, I think a third person can screw you so bad. You know, I seen it, I heard it. You know, and it's easier for me. I answer my emails. I answer my questions. Everything. I do everything.
You do everything.
That's
Huh.
why I don't like to go crazy. You
Yeah,
know?
yeah, I can see. I mean, it
Yeah.
probably takes a lot of discipline to stay to keep from booking yourself a year or more in
Yeah,
advance
yeah.
or
I think
whatever.
that's exactly.
But you're absolutely right. If you want, I mean, one of the great things about this profession is that we can bounce around and meet new people and try new things, and you can easily like accidentally buckle yourself into your hometown for
Yeah,
the next
yeah,
2 years.
exactly. I was talking to a friend, and he was telling me like, "Oh man, I'm booked like 7 months." You know, I'm like, "That's dope," you know, and I'm surprised. Like my friend over here, tattoos is as good as me, and he's only booked 3 weeks. You know, and I was like, "Okay, like how long have you been working with?" Like 3 years or so, you know, and he always been like that. And I'm like, out of those 3 years, has he tattooed every day like you? He's like, yeah. So what's
What's the problem?
what's the problem? You know,
Right.
just saying you're booked for a year. You know,
Right.
he's still tattooing. You know,
Yeah.
every day like you are. You know, so
Right.
it's just I think it's a little bit of show off when they're like, you know, yeah, it's so special, but
Yeah. Yeah.
who cares?
Yeah,
you know?
that's part of the ego.
Part of the ego.
This.
There you
It's
go.
just
you
the
know?
way that it goes.
Yeah.
Well, man, it's been an absolute pleasure. That's exciting. I'm going to keep up and see how
Awesome.
how all your travels go. And
Thank you.
If
Thank you.
we'll drop all the information if you're lucky enough to catch him in any of those places, wherever France. Where all? What is it again? France.
We're going.
Spain?
Well, I'm going
No,
to
Germany.
Madrid. I'm going to Poland, France, and hopefully Romania.
Oh wow!
It's still in the air.
Wow,
Yeah,
man, awesome! That'll be a blast.
Yeah, I
So-
know, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Man, thanks so much for your time.
Thank you, dude.
Yeah, great
Thank
to meet
you.
you. Guys, thank you as always for
Thank you,
supporting what
guys.
we do. We'll see you next time.
Thank you. Awesome.